will tell you that we are hosting someone who loves to dance. Welcome to Woman Thrive, which is live on our Thriving in Abundance talk. Good afternoon, Kamalami, Uzodwa, Simang Kansibande, Sawubona, Sis Nosipho.
Sawubona Zodwa kunjani?
Ndiphilile Nkosi, njani wena?
Hayi, akuncedi ukukhala.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on our talk because I know that you're actually quite busy. I do know that you guys are still, busy with the activities for Transport Month because October was Transport Month in South Africa. Let me, of course, that was Aretha Franklin and George Michael. Yeah. All right, let me introduce you properly. Miss Nosipho Damasane, our guest this afternoon, is the Chief Executive Officer of Prasa Rail. I may just add that I've known you since the days of Transnet Port Terminals.
Yes.
Before joining Prasa, Sis Nosipho was with Bombela Operating Company, and before that, Sis Nosipho, you were at Richards Bay Terminal. Yes. Yeah, I see here quite a number of accolades that you do have, obviously including, being an author of 2 books already. I've got one here. Hello. Yeah. But Sis Nosipho, let me give an opportunity to greet our viewers this afternoon.
Good afternoon to our viewers, and thank you very much for having me. I'm very humbled to actually spend a few minutes just sharing some wisdom and some ideas on how, as women, we could actually just continue to make a difference in our economy in these times that are really, really, really challenging. I mean, COVID has shown us flames, and there's some silver linings that we must pick up on COVID. Terrible and tough as it has been, it's taught us to live with ourselves. It's taught us to understand ourselves and the mechanics of the economy. It's actually forced us into 4IR and AI in a way that we would never think, because I would have traveled to Devon or you to Joburg just for us to have this conversation.
That's true. That is so true. Yeah, but I mean, you know what? We just have to adapt, because if you don't adapt, you're going to die or you're going to perish. Sis Nosipho, can you just tell us about the early part of your life? I was reading your book here and laughing about the fact that obviously your parents were in the agricultural space and you guys had to go and work out in the fields, and you were not into that, and your siblings used to call you mistress.
My dad actually gave me that name. I took my books and went hide in the toilet whilst everybody was working. Yeah. So I grew up in a community, very much of a rural girl, to parents who actually cherished education. My dad, an author himself, published 12 times in vernacular in Xhosa, and the mother was a nurse. So yeah, education was a big thing. When I grew up with my siblings, a very disciplined home, and in disciplined homes, that's where favor comes in, because I was pregnant and delivered a child at 16, right? So because parents in those homes don't talk about those things, liberty and things that can come through. But I really appreciate my father the most, because I think he had a foresight, because some people say that you fall pregnant at that age, your life comes to an end for some people, and mine was the beginning, but I was also very willing to make sure that I would not disappoint my parents again, and I'm just going to continue making them proud. And so it was I think it was a life changer or a game changer for me.
Yeah, it was one of those defining moments. But I mean, how we're really grateful to your parents that they actually had the foresight to, in fact, allow you to still go on and do your studies, because parents parents always know best. So they knew that you have this particular potential. And then I see also that at some point, I mean, during holidays now, when you were back at boarding school, and I would imagine also at university, or when you just finished, then you started working, during holidays. And one of the things that you used to do was to work in your father's bookshop. And then you realized, but you were not being paid enough. I'm just like, I was laughing at the fact that and then you wrote, tell us about the resignation letter and the whole story.
So we used to be on strike for more than 6 months in a year, and then go back to school. So the period that we were on strike, we would work for my father's bookshop, and we were earning about 100 rand. So he happened to have a partnership in some filling station in Pedi. So he sent me to drop some files, and I asked them how much they are paying, and I realized they were paying 248 rands a week, and I was like, I'm definitely resigning. I'm leaving my dad's business. So my first resignation letter was to my dad, and it was a one-liner: I hereby beg to resign from my employer with immediate effect.
And then you went ahead to work at the service station.
At the service station, I had opportunities, and I think my career actually was defined by that role. People used to laugh at the fact that you are doing a degree in accounting. We hear that you're doing a degree in accounting, and your father is LKCB. So what are you doing pouring petrol in the garage? It used to give me the leeway to make more money because I used to braid hair for clients, and then I would work night shift and get double pay. So I've always been, I think, aggressive in terms of what I need. But that's where I learned to work with blue collar workers. I think I learned so much wisdom from that environment, and I think it defined my career effectively.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely amazing. So now the other thing that I'm noticing as Nosipho is that in most of your roles, you've always been the first woman pod manager, the first COO in pod terminals, the first woman, I'm talking woman here, and also specifically African woman for RBCT, senior vice president for the global supply chain, etc. So you seem to be blessed with being the first. Is that always a blessing, or sometimes it comes with a lot of other challenges?
I think there's two things on it, and I'm very consistent on this response. The first one is somebody has to be the first, I guess. And then I guess because in my industry I've always been then the pioneer. I've always pioneered the roles, and I say that to be the first is great, but to be the only is not.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you remember even the Fortunate days, how much we actually threw ourselves in developing other women and making sure that we're not the only ones. We were just developing a strong cadre of women to follow, so that we don't claim this thing. And I was the only woman in the boardroom. That's not great. You must actually destabilize this thing and bring more women into it, and actually just show the men that we can do the same as them, or probably even double.
Oh, definitely. Usually it is much, much more and better than them. Because of course we are good in multitasking and a lot of other things. So simple. Most of the roles that you have undertaken are in male dominated spaces. I mean, even your book, actually, the title is Finding the Woman Within, How to Thrive in a Male-Dominated Society. Of course, it's a society, but I think it's more so in corporate spaces. And what have been the main things that have been driving you, or that are still driving you even now, to make sure that you succeed?
I think it's forgetting that you're a woman and focusing on the fact that you are in this role because you've got the skill, and enhancing those skills. That's the one thing. The second one is at the younger me, actually, was the black suit, white shirt kind of executive wanting to be noticed. And I think at some point in my late 30s, I realized that, look, I'm defining myself by what I do, and therefore I shouldn't actually be competing with my male counterparts to look present. And then I started embracing my feminine side, which is not much. I mean, starting from my voice to, you know me, I'm not a very feminine. So I decided to embrace that. And my feminine side became very important to me to say, I'm bringing that value to the bottom too. And I also think that as women, we have a different style of leadership in our majority because of the natural nature of being a mother. So I sort of then decided to define myself differently and do what I actually enjoy. At work, I'm very embracing. The second book that I've written is called The Inclusive Leader. I know we won't talk about it today, but I'm just looking at the trend of the turnarounds and the businesses I've worked for in turnaround for corporate, and I'm realizing that the fact that I have the capability and the technical expertise is a bonus. The key issue as a leader is you bring your personality, you bring yourself to work every day.
All right. So in other words, you are that kind of a leader that really believes that the people are the ones that make a business tick. You know, if you are not taking care of your people, then you're like, sort of likely not to get to where you want to get to. I noticed that at Richards Bay Coal Terminals, you also at some point used to go and work in the production line, you know, like, and be like one of them, you know. But what inspires you and motivates you to go that far?
I think the first thing is that you can't make decisions on something that you don't know. So for me, it's very important to understand the conditions, the working conditions, as well as the challenges that people are facing. So that when I see a motivation on my table and I have to make a decision as to whether to approve or not, I have a sense of the challenge itself. And that's number one. Number two, I'm just driven by the fact that as a leader or as leaders, we manage energy. So you can't do it without people. So we don't manage people, we manage energy. The energy of the people is what gives you the productivity.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been the biggest drive. Being on the ground and learning from the people on the ground and understanding the business, because they know the business more than us most of the time, is because they are doing the work every day. So I think the garage scenario or the service station scenario has played a big role because I just believe that after 2 or 3 days in the work environment, I just want to be, I mean, I'm on the train. So like I said to you, at 2 o'clock, I was up to date to actually go and open the line. That's just me. I'm here, I'm the CEO in overalls. And yeah, some people call me the hurricane because I come in and I'm a change agent. I do things that people don't do in the workplace. And I don't quite for, for the suits and the CEO status. I feel that people respect you for what you present and you can't command it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. The CEO in overalls. Is that a third book?
It's going to be interesting.
When that book comes out. Okay, now, so looking at, you've always been out, at least now, in the logistics space, and it was the same thing also at port terminals and RBCT to a certain extent also. For a young lady that is watching us now and is interested in having a career in these environments, because they are, as you have already alluded to, male dominated. But I mean, obviously, when you are coming up as a youngster, you have to start somewhere. What are the key things that they would have to look into, the qualities that they have to have?
I think in the book, I've got some tips that I'm sharing with youngsters to say that when you actually enter the corporate environment, people notice you because of what you do and how you behave.
Yeah.
And being willing to do that cup of coffee in your early ages, as opposed to saying, I'm a graduate, I shouldn't be doing coffee for other people, etc., and as an extra, because it's extra training that you get, and people notice your skill. So I believe you get an opportunity once, and you have one shot at that opportunity, and it's for you to leave it or not to leave it. I think where the youngsters are fortunate is that these things are more structured than they were for us. For us, we were forced into transformation, into transition, because the government had put in the constitution, and they had to be inclusivity in terms of women, and therefore, so we were helped by the law. And then for them, they've got people who mentor them. They also hear us talk about these things more than we had during our times. But in logistics, I think some of the key issues that are a common thread across logistics as an industry is your love for things like numbers, your love for things like economics, if you study transport economics and those things. But you must also realize I didn't study any of that. I'm a pure finance person. And I was willing to learn, but I told myself when I entered this space that I am going to stay in, I'm going to command respect, I'm going to know the industry, and I'm going to make sure that I create an environment for other women to come in and share place and be better than us. Quite a number of women in that space. So logistics in the beginning was not a specific study. It is now a specific study offered in universities. And therefore, people need to pass their degree and take those mentorship programs that are offered across the industry and be willing to do the menial jobs in the beginning for them to be noticed so that they can move forward. I think there isn't any science to this. And if you look at the number of women today in the maritime space who are occupying the first spaces in dredging, in marine, in being at sea for 6 months, women are taking great decisions around this space. And I think that we're killing quietly this thing of it's a male-dominated environment and putting women on it. But I think the onus is on us women who got there first to always make sure that there's more coming. You must open the tap.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, that's actually quite a mouthful, and I'm sure our young ladies, and in fact, young people that are watching and that will be watching us later on YouTube will actually gain a lot over and above, obviously, what they will get from reading your book. So, what's your philosophy in life?
You have one opportunity in life.
Okay.
You must take it and use it, but I can tell you the biggest philosophy I have in life is that it is possible. I've already told you I come from a rural area. I can tell you I was working in a garage, in a bookshop. Everything is possible. I actually wanted to do that in this book. The first book, I wanted to say it is possible for everyone. So please don't give up your dreams. I've seen children that I've mentored, I've heard from radio, passing their matric exams with all distinctions, no money to go to university. We've assisted those kids and phone the radio, organized for them. Some of them are sitting in Chicago, some of them are in the UK today. So it's really, it is possible for all of us. It doesn't matter where you come from. And I also want to say all the time to kids, I've gone to every school black, and I've gone to black universities. I only started working with Adelungu when I was doing my articles, which was a concerted effort to say I now need to actually start mixing it and then globalizing it eventually. But it's possible to do anything in life. Nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. That is Sis Nosipho's philosophy in life. And I think if you just, always tell yourself that it is possible. It is possible. I am possible also as an individual. All right, Sis Nosipho, in your life and obviously in your career, you must have had to handle some disappointments. And how have you, been able to bounce back from those disappointments? And I think it gets worse. The higher you go, as they say, the colder it becomes.
It's actually quite cold up here. And I think the real issue is that professionals are on the spotlight and therefore they're not allowed to fail. And they're human beings. And God created us to actually be human beings and therefore go through trials and tribulations. I think the disaster that actually happens is when people give up on their lives, when things are falling apart. It's when things are falling apart that I believe in God. I pray a lot. So you have to pray for yourself. You've got to focus on your own rehabilitation. You've got to go to therapy because remember, we think we're strong and therefore we think, there's no need for therapy. My sister is actually a social worker and she used to say to me, when I said, no, man, I'm too strong for therapy, there's no need for that. She used to say, but why do you think we go to school for it then? So it's a question of you just have to brace yourself for criticism, brace yourself for disappointment because people are looking up to you. And if you don't pull yourself together and try to get back on track as fast as you can, And it is possible to actually, again, going back to it's possible to get yourself on the rails again. I mean, I've faced failure in my life a couple of times, and I laughed because somebody was saying, I actually followed your career tracks, and I never realized that you were demoted 3 times because you always look so happy. You know what I mean? As a typical example, I've gone through a lot in my personal space, and I talk about it openly because I believe that I'm a public figure, so I can't run away from certain things
Oh, yes.
because of the roles I'm playing. So I play the honest game of just talking about the madness that happens from time to time in my life. And but I think the most important thing that I can say to people is that you are going to actually bump through those. Pick yourself up, go and get help, get more support from, trust a few people that you can share ideas with, and sometimes just trust the public. I was writing that book, I trusted my readers with my life.
Yes. I hear what you mean. I hear what you mean. But I suppose it's beautiful because it's your experience. No one can take away your experience. And the manner in which you have written the book, it's like, it's an easy read. One, it's very easy for me to identify because immediately as I'm reading, okay, then my mind wants to race back to my own childhood. And I started laughing myself, thinking of the things that I used to do when I didn't want to do some household chores, like, yeah. All right. So, you mentioned an important point there about, seeking help as and when you feel that you require help. So boss, I'm always curious, just looking at these kind of positions, especially in the SOEs space, and I'm like, how do you mentally prepare yourself to actually take the bull by its horns and say, yeah, no, this one is for me and I'm gonna go for it?
I think working for SOEs is deeper than a job. It's
Yeah.
it's a calling.
I want you to say that again.
It's a calling. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a job. Yeah, taking up the Prasa Rail role is not a job. It's a calling. It's serving my country because I am where I am today because of this country and this legislation and the people that fought for this country. So you then enjoy these cushy jobs in the private sector and they seem not to have challenges. They do, and then you ask yourself, what is the point? Because my country, I could be paying back to my country, and I could actually be serving. So we easily point fingers at the failures of the country, as opposed to lifting our hand and saying, what then do we do to rectify that? And I think, yeah, people call it brave, and I think that it's something that somebody has to offer. I learned logistics from scratch, from SOEs, and now that I've gone full circle, I've worked globally, I've had the exposure that I have, I feel like it's time to come and pay back to South Africa at this challenging time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's all about the desire to serve your country. This is very important. I love that. It's Nosipho. Let me go to our Facebook page and see if we've got any questions for you or comments for that matter. All right, I've got Upunzile here saying embracing our feminine side. That's critical. And Usisbongi Gumbi Makudulela say it is really a calling. We were having a conversation with her actually earlier on about something pertaining to SOEs. So I know she really, really loves what you've just said because we were chatting about that earlier. All right, I don't have any other questions. What is it that you know now that you did not know 5 years ago? That has been a lesson?
Yeah, I've learned a lot, not even during this COVID period. I've actually realized that I'm an introverted extrovert.
It's called an ambivert. My daughter told me that.
Thank you for that. Now I know because I think I'm actually an ambivert and I didn't realize that because I'm such an outgoing personality, you know, always happy. I'm a very happy person, I must say. Even during tough times, I'm very happy. I've got that gift. And so, but I just realized how much I'm missing my space and being with myself and just, you know, taking it in on my own, and to the level where I'm becoming more and more jealous of my time to me. And it's something that I didn't quite pick up early in my life 5 years ago. The second one that I've realized, and I've always had it, but I think it's just grown in me, is just to make sure that we make time to develop more leaders. So taking up, we were saying earlier when we were chatting that in my business schedule, where do I get time to actually do so many webinars? And I'm saying I'm making the time because I just want to, if I change one life, I'm happy. Even in this webinar, if just one person has hope, I'm
if one person has hope from this conversation, because Tata Mandela did say, Guti, in fact, hope is life itself. I think someone was asking him about what keeps you going for 27 years in a confined space. And his response was that it's just hope, you know, knowing that eventually we'll get out of this situation. You know, I think there's something you mentioned in the book about you wanting to be a pharmacist and your dad having an opportunity to influence you to study commerce. You know, I'm asking this question because, you know, our kids currently, they've got so many opportunities and they are multi-talented as well. So they are finding very difficult to actually decide what sort of career opportunities do they follow. So my question to you, Nosipho, is that maybe in your view, what should be the probably 3 things that they would look into and say, to be able to say, yeah, this is it. Like, for instance, with you were able to do commerce, but you could have done something in the creative space as well, because also if you know how to plait hair and do those kind of things, you know, you are good creatively most times. You know, I'm just making an example. I know back then it might not have been an easy decision, also coming from a family of academics.
So my friend Lisa likes to say to me, I don't know when Zanone is teaching it because we're just an interior designer. You should actually be doing, because of the part of life that I enjoy, but I never went to school for. And so she says, I'm was when Zanone is teaching. So she always makes that joke. I think today's kids are fortunate because there's career guidance. For us to succeed, we had to get career guidance from our parents, and not many of us had that opportunity to get those kind of parents. There were no mentors, no coaches, and that were defined. You just looked up to people that you want to look like when you're older and follow that, whether it was your passion or not. Today's kids have an opportunity to follow their passion. I think the kids are not the problem now, parents are, because we like the dinner table conversations. So therefore, we don't want our kids to go and study what they're gifted on because we don't know how to explain them. And that's why you see kids finish PhD, MBCHP, and they will give back the certificates to the parents and go and DJ because that's what they want to do. And the wasted years, it's like, yeah, you must have the cushion because otherwise what's going to happen to your life? Life is not easy. So I say to my kids, have a degree. It doesn't matter what it is. Have a degree in what it is that you like to do, because you can always change your career and your life at senior degree level. So, for example, my daughter studying music, and I'm always happy each time she says, I'm concerned about my future. I'm like, that's a very good position. You must not be comfortable about your future, but have this degree in music because who knows, you can go and do an MBA and convert this into something else in music on the commercial side of music. So we're still not very open-minded as parents to understand that this is a different era at different times, and therefore we shouldn't force our circumstances at the time to our children today, but we still have to respect education, and they must still study for whatever it is that they want to do. And I always say to them when I mentor young people is that just be bloody good at it.
Yes, whatever choice that you go for. Just make sure that you excel, because excel. All right. Okay. Yeah, but I suppose as parents as well, we have to do some work, some inner work. Going back to our Facebook page, is Nosipho. Pumzile says we have the born freeze, young people who at times don't have the motivation in townships to press through. What can you say to our young girls in the townships and especially in the rural areas? I know she asked this question because we have Econo Foundation, and she's responsible for Econo Foundation, which focuses mainly on rural youth. And we find that most of the times we really have to push. You know when you have to push people for their benefit.
Because South Africa has provided quite a lot in the constitution to make provisions for youth, for education, for women. But the reality of it is that the information is not going into the rural areas. So there's a huge gap and a huge responsibility in making sure that we facilitate for people in the rural areas and people in Lokshini to know what it is that we can do themselves. So I meet a lot of young unemployed graduates, and when I ask them, do you know that ABSA actually offers mentorships in partnership with Chanduka that actually allow you to go and work at ABSA and get the experience? Because once you get your first job when you're in the industry, most people don't know about these things. So there aren't clear channels of communicating the opportunities that this country is providing.
It's the clear channels. It's the clear channels. Okay, all right. We hear you also as the foundation. This is something that we have to look into, right? So let me see.
Partnerships and collaboration with the
Yes.
corporate sector and the private sector in terms of making sure that you disseminate the information of the opportunities that are sitting in for kids to be interested is one of the.
Okay, all right. All right, perfect. Now coming back to where you are currently at Prasa Rail, I'm sure you have opportunities for female-owned businesses and obviously for small businesses. What is the approach towards those kind of spaces?
I think the key thing at Prasa, you know that we're in trouble. I mean, we discussed in Parliament today. We go to Scotland and we get punished for what we found in here. You can't say I was not here. You're here to sort of move forward with it. One of the things that the minister was talking about today, exactly that, is to say there's a key focus on our capital spend to actually get more youth, more women, and more people with disabilities to get the opportunity in our tenders and in our space. So we do have capital spend. We're underspending on our capital. I'm sure it's a well-known issue in the country. And we're having some specific projects that the president declared on the SONA, one of them being the central line in Cape Town, the other one being Mabopane itself here in Johannesburg, with Bridge City in KZN, we have Motherwell in Port Elizabeth. And so every province sort of has its own political corridor, so to speak. And those are catalysts in terms of getting young people and getting women involved in the businesses themselves. So we do have a supply chain department. Our tenders go out to the tender bulletin at Treasury, and we must learn to collaborate, we must learn to partner. But I think most importantly, there is value in joining these associations. If you're in the built environment, go and join an association for networking and also to find the potential partners that you can work with, actually grow in the industry, then you can stand on your own.
Okay, and as Prasa, you do have your own internal enterprise development program.
Yes. So we have an enterprise development program. Plus, we have these things that are these tenders that are going out, where we actually literally forcing people to say, we don't force in marriages, but we're saying we need to see a strong subcontract level to women in the area. The other thing that we're focusing on in our local content is to say that in the areas where people are, involve the communities, make them part of what it is that you're spending on. So to approach us, you can actually go into our website. You can also add the phone into our supply chain department. You can also look into the tender bulletin at Treasury.
All right. The information is out there, ladies and gentlemen. Just get used to going out there and finding the information. The information is there. Thank you so much, Nosipho, for that. And I believe that the Finding Women Within has got an online course.
Yes, we do have an online course where we try. Yes, I'm trying to simplify. I'm in partnership again. Talking about partnerships. I'm in partnership, and in that partnership, we're actually working on just articulating some of the messages, because that book, it's a memo, but it's more of a leadership book than it is a memo. So it's my story, but if you read it, you'll see how much it outlines the key elements of leadership, and that's what I take out in the online masterclasses.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, I do note here that there are some topics like how the glass ceiling needs to change, how to take responsibility, soft issues. People sometimes don't think they are important, but yet they are critical. What the cloud on women appointment is, why personal sacrifices need to happen for the greater good of others, how to achieve work-life balance. Ikhona kodwa yona leyo nto ekuthiwa work-life balance.
It's the biggest scam. That's the biggest scam. There's nothing called work-life balance. Sincerely, there is nothing like that. You make do, you make shift, but it's a biggest scam. What I've always advised women is that you must find your feet in terms of how to spend time with your family. Yes. It might be just running with your kids in the morning, and probably that's the only time. It might just be watching a movie with them on Saturdays. It could be having a picnic with them on Friday night. But you just have to find the time and be jealous, and that time that your phone is not on, their phones are not on, you get to discuss with them. I take long drives with them sometimes and just say, we are driving for your careers. Because I'm doing a lot of mentoring outside, I might actually be missing something at home.
Yeah, that's very true. It happens sometimes to be out there and pouring out to other people, only to find that at home things are not where they should be. I'm just going to go ahead and read some of the topics that I see here. How to positively manage corporate politics. That's very critical. How to be influencing and inspiring as a woman leader. That's key because we have to build each other and build one another. What the critical role of mentoring and coaching is, this is very, very important, because if we do not take time to mentor and coach upcoming leaders, then we're going to have a leadership challenge. We already are sort of, we are wobbly in that space as a country when it comes to leadership, both male and female. So the onus is upon us to make sure that the ones that are coming after us really are empowered to be better, much better leaders than we are, because we don't want posterity to judge us harshly. What challenges are facing women leaders today? Yes, that's very important. You need to know. And what the women agenda is. It's important to have an agenda.
Very important, yes.
Because if we don't have an agenda, we will always be absorbed into other people's agendas.
The key issue here is you never have time. You have to make time. You must be intentional about developing other leaders. And you just have to do. So you split your weekend and look at your mentorship on Saturday morning. I actually have mentors on Saturday mornings, and I find time for them. I find time for webinars. I find time, because I'm thinking, if people think what we are doing is impossible or it's for the select few, we're actually discouraging exactly the question you asked earlier. How do we draw more into the environment? We just have to be out there and be available and make it as simple as possible. So I always say to people, my job as a CEO is to simplify the things that all my teams complicate. And yeah, exactly. And I also say to them that when you speak to me about your business, speak in my grandmother's language. My grandmother must understand what it is that you're saying. So we need to simplify these things and stop making them too complex and discouraging people.
I like that. After all, sikhuluma ngey'timela ey'gitshelwa abantu la. So ayibambeke le nto ukuze i-customer lethu
So I mean, if you ask me what I do at Casa Rail, I'm going to tell you that I'm in the business of people. I have to make sure that train operations are available, customers are actually moving, employees are happy, and the customers are happy. It's a people business. So you would think that it's in logistics because people are on the trains, but if everything is dead, those trains actually don't mean anything.
That's quite powerful. If people are dead, then no one will occupy the trains. So people are the most important asset, even for, what Process is doing. Let me check if we've got any other questions before I let you go, because yes, you've really blessed me with your time. See this afternoon. Okay, we don't have any other question. Is there anything that I didn't ask that is in your soul and spirit this afternoon?
Just to encourage young people to begin to speak out and ask questions, reach out to leaders they aspire to. And the intention today, it's many women, it's not just me. You can actually see on Facebook the number of women that are intentional about developing other women. So people must just take up the opportunities that we offer for free most of the time, because we are just keen and make sure that we get more women having exposure to the environments that we're in and giving them the space.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Young people and anyone else obviously out there who is interested in being a future leader, you just be on the lookout and make sure that you find out follow Nosipho on Facebook and find out about the online course if maybe reading is not your thing.
We also have an ebook. So you can also buy, you can also just get an ebook on Amazon.
All right. So maybe just tell us where the books are available, where they can find it.
It's actually an ebook on Amazon and a hard book on Amazon. We are on exclusive books. We're on Loot, Take a Lot. I think I've seen more bookshops now actually coming up and just taking the book as we go. So we are actually on the shelves with books, and look out for my second book, The Inclusive Leader, Embracing Diversity and Employee Engagement, which is a leadership lessons, which will be out on the 9th of November. Again on those same platforms.
All right, perfect. Inclusive Leader. Nosipho's second book will be available and it will be out on the 9th of November. Ladies and gentlemen, be on the lookout for that book. I see there Ulerato Ramoketi says, thank you for the talk. Thank you, Nosipho, for making time to chill with us on Women Thrive. I really appreciate that opportunity, and I'd like to wish you everything of the best in your future endeavors, and I'm quite confident that you will make us proud in your current position, because your mindset is in the right space. You are there to serve your country. It's just as simple as that.
Thank you very much for having me. I think it's been really a chilled afternoon. We sometimes need to do this, to step out of our comfort zones and just do other things. So I thoroughly enjoyed the chat. I thought you were going to ask me the question about there's nothing as dangerous as somebody who doesn't know that they don't know.
Okay, my mind is racing to many things as you say that, but yeah, that's true. That is very true.
So I'm saying that is my parting shot to the youth, that you must just recognize what you don't know and go and seek assistance and help and try on the things that you know and that you're actually good at. But look for help. I think that's the key issue. And it is possible as a philosophy. Thank you very much.
Okay, it is possible as a philosophy, and the stuff that you don't know much about, just go out and look for the information, find help. There's always help out there. Thank you so much, Sis Nosipho. Thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to the second book. Yes, Sis Nosipho. who is the Chief Executive Officer of Prasa Rail Limited, who has been chatting to us this afternoon on Woman Thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you again on Thursday afternoon on our main talk show, which is Thriving in Abundance Talk. Gamalami nguzodwa wakamsimangi kansi bande. Thank you to our executive producer, Mrs. Busi Shabalala, and the whole team at Econo Thrive Global. Thank you, Sister Nosipho.
Thank you very much, and please have a good evening.
You too.